let's touch a little bit on the national championship game. Obviously, Brum and I are pretty good at seeing what's happening around the world in basketball. We picked Baylor, the champs, the Big 12. Our friend Brandon here thought the Zags were going to take it home. Clearly, he was wrong. But that was definitely not the kind of game I was expecting. So, I mean, I want to hear what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, no, like you said, I agree. Not only was I wrong, I was way off. But like you said, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I don't think anybody picked Baylor to win that game in the manner in which they did. Really, start to finish, it wasn't that close. Baylor kind of routed them, and I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No, I mean, from the very get-go, I think the opening minutes, it was 11-1 before Gonzaga knew it. Gonzaga looked like a team that was almost sleepwalking, and they escaped UCLA. I mean, they escaped.
They escaped UCLA.
And they, I will say that game ended up being a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, UCLA and Gonzaga. And then it looked like they escaped, and then they looked tired. I don't know if they hadn't really been challenged all year. I mean, a little bit here and there. They were playing in the WCC a little, and they were trailing BYU in their tournament, their conference tournament here and there, but nothing like what UCLA gave them. I mean, UCLA gave them everything they could handle, and if Suggs wouldn't have hit that three, I kind of think UCLA would have beat them.
Oh yeah, overtime would have been done.
I agree with what Brum said about UCLA. If Jalen Suggs doesn't hit that freaking miraculous half court,
but
if you watch that shot, as soon as it leaves his hands, he starts running to the scorer's table. Like he had zero doubt that was going in. But his body language says the whole thing. So I don't want to say it was luck, because as soon as he left his hand, the guy knew it was in. So that's not necessarily luck.
He went full Steph Curry on that. He knew it was going in from the.
He knew. Yeah, he knew it was bought. So there's no doubt about it. But when we talk about Gonzaga, and I bought in this year, obviously I picked them to win the whole thing. But now looking back and having a little bit of time to reflect and watch them get their ass kicked by Baylor, you kind of wonder if they're almost like a Notre Dame of college basketball. A team that's always going to be really good, really highly ranked, really highly, great record, but they play nobody.
Yeah. I don't think it's unfair to have that thought, but at the end of the day, they still made the dance. They got all the way to the end. They got their asses whooped, but it's not like we said. It's not like we thought that was going to be that kind of thing.
Notre Dame makes the tournament, get their asses kicked.
Yeah, but Notre Dame doesn't it's not the same. It's like Notre Dame getting to the championship game.
They get to the Final Four sometimes. They made the Final Four 3 times now. Yeah, and I know it's starting the Final Four to make the playoff, but they're still a Final Four team, and they get their asses kicked.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is when you play in a tough conference like the Big 12 or the Big 10 or whatever for basketball, you learn how to play close games, and there's an art to it. I mean, there's some teams that when you just play a cupcake schedule most of the year and you don't get punched in a game and you might lose one, a lot of times it's tough to go undefeated in any sport and win the championship.
Just for shits and gigs, what do you guys think Gonzaga's record be if they played in like a Big 12 or they played in SEC?
I think, let's say they're
not undefeated. I promise you that right now.
No, they're not undefeated. But if they were in the Big 12, just because we believe that is the best conference in college basketball right now, I think they'd probably be competing with Oklahoma State. They'd definitely be towards the top of the conference, but they would not have beaten Baylor.
Oklahoma State. I was going to say Oklahoma State to win the conference.
I think they would probably have about 4 losses to their 3 or 4 losses to their record.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's around that ballpark. I shoot a little higher, 5 or 6. I think there's no doubt in my mind. I think Oklahoma can steal a game from them at Lloyd Noble. I think Oklahoma State has every capability to beat them. Baylor, obviously, they whooped their ass. Texas won the Big 12. Texas won the Big 12 tournament. That's how competitive that conference was. Texas won the Big 12 tournament. And then they shit the bed in the tournament, but they won the Big 12 tournament. They were the best team technically in the Big 12 going into the tournament. And then you get Gonzaga is not undefeated. They probably lose 5 or 6 times, maybe 7 times.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of exactly how many it is, I mean, we all agree. I mean, I will say they did play Kansas this year. Gonzaga did beat Kansas.
They played a close game with Kansas. They beat them, but yeah,
So,
you're right.
so I mean, it's tough to say, and they might have caught Gonzaga on their one, an off night, and we've, if they play 10 times, it might be 5-5, 6-4, one way or another. I really think Gonzaga. I know they lost. I mean, Oh, and also they also did play West Virginia this year too.
Also a close game, but they did sneak it out.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm thinking 3 or 4 losses. It's tough to get up for every single game. But regardless, I mean, it's tough to play your best every single game, and it's also hard because Baylor is just an incredible team too.